he mentioned. Number 4 is stress control because it affects your sleep. And number 5 is you got to deal with addiction issues. When I'm talking about addictions, I'm including not just cigarettes and drugs and all that fun stuff, but food, work, everything else that sometimes holds us back. Okay, you have the 5 things, right? We're going to go back over these one by one. Number 1, blood pressure. Let me show you a little animation. Rosie O'Donnell came on the show. She had a heart attack last year, almost killed her. Let's look inside of her heart. The major blood vessel coursing down the front of the heart is called the LAD, it's the widowmaker blood vessel. Inside of that blood vessel, you've got blood cells going past, and they begin to scar off the side of the blood vessel. As it forms a little bit of a scar, watch what happens. Tears, see, it rips off. Now you've got a big open sore there. The body tries to heal that open sore by forming a clot like you would if you had a cut anywhere in your body, and boom! When that happens, watch. You get this big bruise, a Charlie horse, takes over the entire front part of the heart. You're witnessing the number 1 cause of death in the Western world. That's what a heart attack looks like, literally stopping down your heart function. Let's go back and dissect that a little bit. This is important. I showed you a blood vessel. I showed you blood coursing through it, right? You saw the plaque that started to get large. Here's what really happens. If I were to take a wall, this wall back here, and punch a hole in it, the way you fix that hole is by putting plaster in it. Now, plaster in the body is called cholesterol. If it's healthy cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, you get this beautiful, smooth little repair. No one can tell that there was a hole there. If you use lousy plaster, LDL cholesterol, you get cheap spackling inside the hole and it begins to crumble and fall out. When that happens, you start to get that open sore that I showed you in the animation. So you understand the role of cholesterol, right? What caused the hole? Because if you don't have a hole, who the heck cares about the plaster? You don't go out and just put plaster on things. You put plaster in holes. What causes the hole is the high blood pressure that I spoke about earlier. High blood pressure is like a fire hydrant that's squirting in this high pressure fluid, scraping this delicate Teflon-like lining over the blood vessel. And when you scrape that off, guess what happens? You have to repair it and you're back where I started. What else tears that hole? Diabetes. Because diabetes is like a broken piece of glass, a broken wine bottle. The glass shard scraping off the lining forces the body to have to heal it, so you use your cholesterol. It turns out cigarettes do the same thing. So you understand broadly what's going on. That's why cholesterol doesn't really matter that much. It's why I get concerned when I see so many folks being put on statin drugs. Because I know they can be life-saving if you've got heart disease. But if you don't have heart disease, proving that they really help you a lot is much more difficult to do. And many people don't need to be on them, as they can deal with the risk factors in other ways. And so keeping that in mind, you begin to shift where you think you belong. Remember, if you're on more than 6 medications, including over-the-counter ones, the chance of you having a drug-drug interaction is 50%. So we don't want people taking a lot of medications if we can avoid it, which is the essence of what we're talking about. And so many of the things that heal, for example, blood pressure, which you can do by taking foods that are rich in potassium, and low in sodium, remind you that when you walk into a grocery store, you walk into a pharmacy. These foods have incredible powers, if you can remember them. All right, so that's the blood pressure story. Now let's go on to the second big topic here. Take a look. We tested all kinds of people.
Are you ready? I am.
From all different places.
Pennsylvania, California, North Carolina.
In all walks of life. Come on up.
How about Greg? You're having your tests done today, so...
I was supposed to have it done for a while because I drink a lot of water. I'm always thirsty. Can never cure the thirst.
37-year-old Jared had never been tested for diabetes before.
This is Jared.
Hey Jared, how are you? You know, when they call the doctor over, it's not good news.
While that runs, I'm going to tell you that number's supposed to be under 6. The amount of sugar that's traveling around in your blood cells needs to be under that number. That's what it should be for all of us. Your number is 12.8. Wow. 12.8 worries me a lot. That's more than twice what's tolerable.
Yeah. That's what I do.
What do I do about it? That's the most important thing you can say. So many of us get lost in all this, and fundamentally what I'm here about is hope. And what is hope? Hope's not just getting the right thing. Hope not missing the diagnosis. Hope is about making sense of what's going on. So let's talk about Jared. 37 years old, he's peeing a lot, he's always thirsty, and he's tired. So what's the diagnosis? Yeah, diabetes. His blood sugar when we took him to the hospital, which I did right after the show, 460. Now how is it possible that a young, intelligent man could miss that? He had all the symptoms, and he was dying, literally, right in front of us. He was missing it because he hadn't paid attention to some of the simple clues. His body was screaming to him. And then when you miss those clues, you start to fall apart. Oftentimes you'll spiral downwards. Now thankfully, Jared actually asked that question. What do I do about it? He lost some weight. We gave him some tips to help with diabetes. Things like taking chromium in your diet. Cinnamon helps diabetics a lot because it makes the liver work better with the insulin. So these are simple ideas that actually work pretty effectively. And his blood sugar came down pretty effortlessly, dramatically changing his life. But remember, 1/3 of you, this whole part of the audience, 1/3 of you is diabetic or pre-diabetic, and 90% of you don't know it because you haven't checked. And there's simple ways of figuring it out. You can do a urine test. Those little finger sticks that I showed you, that I did on Jared, people do those free in clinics. They cost about $7. They're so inexpensive. People just give them away, just so you know what's going on with you. You can treat it more effectively. But we start the day getting the psychology of change. What is it that gets the Jareds of the world, that gets you to know, and then address what you just figured out? So let's go through that.